Welcome to Business Talk with me, Michael Avery, here on Business Tech. And I must say, I'm an optimist. So one of the first things that I thought as the COVID lockdown led corporate South Africa into the world of remote work was that finally we've seen the cultural and technological accommodations that we've been talking about for such a long time. When we talk about remote work, finally we'd usher in a new era of efficiency and prosperity because it was forced upon us. And after all, necessity is the mother of invention, as they say. And indeed, I think in a matter of mere months, remote tech improved dramatically. People all over the world became adept at working from home in a kind of Zoom forever speculation. I think many companies are now planning to continue this arrangement after the pandemic. And I think a majority of us working in these environments say that it actually sounds just fine. Being able to work from home or work from anywhere, I guess, is the new normal. But while I'm an optimist, I'm also a realist. And I believe that both employees and managers should consider their current solutions and the risks associated with some of their patches and quick fixes that were spawned out of the COVID lockdowns. Well, to talk about remote worker solutions, HPE, VDI, and GreenLake, which is Hewlett-Packard Enterprises and virtual desktop infrastructure, because we know tech is laced with TLAs, three-letter acronyms. I'm joined now by Alex Russell, MD of iOCO technology subsidiary Aptronics. Alex, you must be inundated with queries on how to implement remote worker solutions at the moment. Just take me through how COVID has impacted the demand for these kinds of solutions.
Thank you, Michael. And yeah, it's great to talk to you today. So if we rewind almost a year and a bit ago, everyone's BCP plan was invoked, and many organizations fell in this sort of this hole of well, BCP was really for a subset of users. It wasn't for the whole organization. So come the implementation of the lockdown, everyone's front door was locked, and it was users, you need to go home. So you had the scrambling of users, organizations procuring devices, users putting the PCs in the back of their car and kind of shuffling them back home. And it was, all right, just get everyone a device, and then we'll work out how we're going to get them connected. And you kind of had this movement of organizations saying, well, users need to connect. We're not too sure how great their experience is going to be, but get them connected as securely as possible. Put a few band-aids here and we'll work this out as we go along.
Yeah.
A year and a bit later, remote working is very much part of organizational design. Hybrid workforces are what is going to be around for some time. And many organizations, equally iOCO, are adopting this approach to how do we optimize our real estate with the view of what works best for our employees.
Yeah.
Where do our employees choose to work is more important than them having to drive into an office and do some work themselves.
And that's why I refer to this work from anywhere sort of culture, because we have the ability now not just to work in whatever home solution that we've jimmied up for ourselves, be it the study, be it the TV room that doubles as a podcast room as I am here at home, but we can go and work at a cafe. We can go, now that the cafes and restaurants are open again, we can go work at our favorite coffee shops. But with that come some challenges. What have you found in terms of teething problems, major lessons learned through this period of COVID, and now embedding this into the organizational architecture, as you say? What have been some of the lessons learned?
So I think there's a technology process and a people learning, and any ITIL person will tell you, those three key components are extremely important when you're looking to do any change in an organization. And what we've seen from a technology point of view is organizations have found that their technology really didn't stack up. It didn't stack up to building sustainable solutions for users to work remotely. From a process point of view, user organizations found digitization and ailing legacy systems kind of got them caught, and they've accelerated a lot of those now because they absolutely needed to do that in order to achieve a more sustainable work from anywhere solution. But I think overall is how the humanity from the user side is changing for the way people are managed, expectations for a business, and I guess even this employer contract is needing to evolve.
Yeah,
It's needing to evolve. If anyone thought you could manage people or you weren't able to manage productivity on premise when everyone was in the office, you're going to still find that same challenge to manage productivity off premise and in different locations. And it's just really the acceleration of this evolution of remote working. You read some of the industry articles, and they believe that COVID and the pandemic has accelerated remote working by as much as 10 years. It's kind of brought it forward, but it's also accelerated way past where organizations are able to understand how to deal with this change in their ecosystem.
Yeah. And what worries me, and you speak about the acceleration, it's been across different industry verticals. If you look all over the place, the one big theme out of COVID was there were fires of trends around technology, and COVID was this huge accelerant. But often the culture inside an organization perhaps wasn't ready for that giant leap forward. And so, back to your point about the human-centered element of how you approach this, the issues around work-life balance. I think many people initially, or managers initially, were a little bit skeptical about remote working because of this issue that you mentioned around productivity. How can I ensure that people are at home actually working? But I think what we have found in many of the white-collar jobs is that people are working harder than they've ever worked before. They're rolling out of bed into their home study, and there's no wasted time in traffic. You at your desktop from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. sometimes, and there is almost an opposite effect here, that people are overworking. So one needs to be cognizant of all of these things. How are we using technology, though, to bring it back to you said people, process, and technology? How are you using technology to make this just a little bit easier, a little bit more frictionless for workplaces?
Yeah, I love that word. Michael, it's such an apt word in terms of this managing the relationship between the employee and the organization and getting the most out of our people. So when we talk of work-life balance, it's almost work-life harmony. It's no longer a balance, because I think they're so intertwined that it's us as employees are needing to find this harmony, and the organization has a vital role to play in it from a technology point of view. You look at how much time is actually spent in a normal day by any user searching for stuff. And what I mean by searching, I'm not talking about going and searching Google. I'm talking about just searching for a document or understanding of what needs to be done before you actually execute it. So this whole ability for an organization to start to manage employee engagement, and not employee engagement in terms of what a user is doing with regards to how they're interfacing with their peers, but it's how they're engaging with the work. And this transition from this workplace to the workspace is really where users are in terms of what they're needing from the organization. So technology nowadays has really advanced into creating what we call this unified workspace, where I'm engaging in my work in a particular way. I'm getting the right feeds. I'm getting the right bits of information that I need to get my work done. I'm not doing this context switching, we call it, between multiple apps. Geez, where was this document? Did I save it in my Google Drive, or did I, by accident, which isn't corporate secure, or did I actually go and put it in my iCloud, or did I go and put it in Box or whatever it is? And what you're finding is this context switching between where applications are, where information is. I want to apply for leave. I want to process it as expense claim. I'm spending an inordinate amount of time wasted on this context switching. And organizations are needing to keep people engaged for the period of time that they can be engaged. And we're choosing when we want to work, but we want to be as productive and as optimal during that time. And technology plays a vital role in that ambit.
It's such a great example that you use, because we almost in our environment had a patchwork before COVID arrived of using SharePoint as a way to share schedules between my producer, my sound engineer, and myself without having to, in the old days, remember the old days where you had to maybe send one email with one Word document and you'd have a master one and everyone would edit and update and then we send it around, and then we migrated to that. And now, I mean, you talk about those solutions being seamless. It really is what we should be striving for. If you were to describe to me this ideal environment, what does it look like with the current tools that we have today? Because we talk about things like VDI, remote access. We've got HPE coming out there with this new HP GreenLake cloud service and partnership for virtual desktop infrastructure. What does this look like in an ideal work from anywhere scenario?
So, yeah, you mentioned some very key components to an offering like this, and HP have absolutely got the spot on. Is I as a user want to consume applications and desktops in the way that make it seamless to me on what device. It's indifferent of the device that I'm looking to connect with into the corporate network in a way that removes the dependency for me to have a very clunky VPN connection, to have a very an unoptimized connection from my home, which is something that the corporate IT department are not managing. They're not delivering any quality of service. And I want the best experience back into the corporate network. I want to remove those dependencies of saying it's an if then but scenario. If I want to do something, I need to have this app, this client, and for this client, I need to be in this facility, and this facility needs this type of connection. You want to remove those, and we create the most common denominator for connectivity back into the infrastructure, and that is a browser, really. So the workspace of the future is indifferent of the device. It's not tied to the device. My persona moves with me, whether I'm working from home on my own iMac, and I'm then moving to the office. My persona, my data, my profile, my policies applied to me are aware and contextual in terms of where I'm connecting from. It optimizes the design or the delivery of my workspace and gives me the best experience based on my particular persona.
It makes intuitive sense that if I'm connecting via my phone, my tablet, my laptop, whatever device, it really should be cloud-based, browser-based, as you say. You mentioned that. Should organizations be tackling this intelligent workspace as part of their cloud and digital transformation projects? I suppose they all go hand in glove.
Yes, that absolutely. It's a ways in which to accelerate that digital transformation, because you're adapting to the way in which the sort of hybrid on-prem and cloud capability can be delivered in a unified way. It's not I have to have everything in the cloud or I have to have everything on-prem. It's like, hold on, where do you choose? Because you've got some legacy applications, and those legacy applications are going to move with you, and I only want to consume certain application in a particular way. And it might be for a particular use case in an organization. And this ability to change the delivery model based on who the user is and what they're doing, but also to have that flexibility of, well, I don't want to go build this and then I don't have the ability to leverage it for something else. So, the GreenLake offering from HP really gives you that flexibility to scale up and scale down. And this utility type computing, this utility type service is definitely where organizations are moving to, and technology vendors like HP have got it absolutely spot on in terms of enabling this for business.
And that scalability means you can use it pay as you go style, as and when. Software as a service enables us just to purchase the bits that we need when we need them. And I think it's important for businesses now in this period of the recovery. Preserving capital liquidity must be amongst the top 3 priorities for almost all businesses out there. So this seems to solve that problem as well.
Yeah, and I think that flexibility. We're seeing capital expenditure being reduced significantly. You're no longer getting these massive, big data center refresh projects on the go, and organizations are really looking to, okay, so how do I set myself up for the next wave? What is that next wave? Because how long does that next wave of lockdown perhaps occur? I can't go sink this investment and my users are now all moved back home again. I'm not going to build another data center. It's archaic. It doesn't make sense. If you know that there's going to be these peaks and troughs of utilization, you're most certainly going to want flexibility in the way that users are accessing their apps and data, but equally as IT and the organization, how we're procuring services and how we're rolling those services out.
Yeah, and another thing that I've noticed, below that, there or maybe even above that, there was the super trend of millennials entering the workforce. And I certainly find in my own usage of apps, I'm communicating a lot more with WhatsApp desktop and even sharing large files and folders, audio files. So I think with millennials entering the workforce and youngsters who are eschewing things like email, comparing it to things like fax, they expect this kind of experience. They want corporate apps. They want these systems to function. So the question to you is how then can companies re-engineer their systems to ensure that they're attracting and keeping the best talent at the same time?
So I think there's definitely a fine line between security, right, and ensuring the security and driving productivity. You can turn that dial so tight that security is definitely 100% taken care of, but then you impede an employee's ability to be productive. So it's that balance, but the balance is a win-win. It's like someone's giving up something. It can be a win-win for organizations, and technology is there today, which allows for that flexibility and scalability, to understand the context of how I'm using the technology and how I'm allowing the user to consume that technology. And I'll take a bit of a use case here. We talk of millennials and we talk about, even us today, we consume things through an app store. We almost have this instantaneous need. If I need something, I'll search for it and it's probably going to be on the app store. And I want to consume that, but also if that app's not for me, I don't want to use it again. I want to move to using another app. So, collaboration suites are collaboration suites with a plural. They're not singular. It's not a collaboration suite that says you will only use these types of technologies, and these types of interfaces. And I think where technology is right now and where HP have got it spot on in their VDI space is, you're allowing a user the flexibility to check in, check out an application. You're allowing a user to request access to an application they don't have. How many times have employees started in a business and they just don't have the right tools to get the job done? Now no one's driving to the office to go get their desktop configured or their laptop configured. They're hopefully going to get it couriered and a nice little starter pack that says, hey, welcome, you're on board. Here's a little starter pack, a little coffee mug, some sweet jars. And all you've got is a desktop. You connect to the internet, you hit a secure page, and I have all that I need in a single workspace. I have the right apps, the right desktop, the right location of files, the right sync technology. It's all consumed in that. And if I don't have it, I have the ability to go to an app store and to select that. So the technology is there. It's no longer prescriptive. It's more descriptive for the user.
Oh, fantastic. And it really has brought that future forward. How did you know I had my sweet jar on my desk, Alex? Everyone's got one at home. With that, I've got to say goodbye. We've unfortunately reached the end of our time, but a real pleasure getting your insights into this world of remote work and remote worker solutions that are now available. I think many businesses who may still have some of those band-aids still flapping onto their businesses will be looking long and hard about how they should be integrating this as they re-engineer their digital remote worker solutions. So Alex, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Michael.
That was Alex Russell talking all about the mega trend of COVID, and that is work from anywhere, here on Business Talk with me, Michael Avery.